answers, like, I don't know, it all, like, I don't know, I guess having that many things, like, at once, having this, I don't know, it confused me. It was
Okay.
just hard to keep, like, I had to go through, I'm like, okay, this is the defendants, this is the plaintiffs, you know.
Okay.
And like the defendants, I was like, is that where the defendant, when it says, like, defendant's answers, I was like, so that's where the defendant answered it, not where it sent to the plaintiff, and, like, it was the defendant and the plaintiff answered it, you know? You get what I'm saying?
Sort of.
That part confused me.
That's what's going on in our
I got lost in the first defendant.
Well, like, okay, there's a part where it says the defendant's answers,
Okay.
and then there's a part where it says plaintiff's answers, and it was like,
Is it to the interrogatory?
yeah, and the production,
Yes.
the request for production.
Yes.
And I got confused. I was like, okay, do I submit the plaintiff where the defendant sent it to the plaintiff and the plaintiff answered it in that spot, or do I submit it to where the defendant answered it and it was sent by the plaintiff? You get what I'm saying?
Okay. If the defendant is answering the plaintiff's interrogatories, then the plaintiff had sent interrogatories and the defendant is answering the
Okay,
plaintiff's
I said,
interrogatories.
like on where it said, I said, you know, defendant, like doing to the plaintiff, like I put that. So if mine,
Okay.
if I did submit them wrong,
I'll
like
tell you.
it says it up there.
Okay. Okay. I'll tell you.
But that part confused me because I was kind of like, well,
I would like to start by saying I did mine on my Chromebook, on Word, online, and it has messed up.
Oh, it did.
It messed it. So,
Like-
yeah.
Okay.
The stuff was like out of order and numbers wrong.
Oh no. Okay.
But I noticed that.
Okay.
But mine, I wasn't for sure if I got the right statute
Okay.
on there.
Okay.
So that's where I stopped, because if I didn't get the right statute, then that's gonna mess everything.
Okay. All right. Where have you submitted anything yet?
I submitted a complaint.
The complaint. Okay. I'll take a look at that.
You're gonna laugh when you look at it, cause
Yeah,
things go
mine's
like
pretty gnarly.
this.
I will not laugh.
Pull it up on my Chromebook.
I will not laugh. All right. So I'll be looking over some of this stuff. With regard to the briefs, I made corrections. The grade that you have in there will not be your final grade if you make the corrections and resubmit. If you do not make corrections and you do not resubmit, then that will be your grade.
I made corrections.
Okay.
And resubmitted mine, but I just went to the same submission and I just pressed start new and then I resubmitted it.
Okay. So it should show up for me that you have a new.
So now,
Yes, it's showing me that you've submitted something new for me to go back in and grade. Yes. Yes.
so is that, I mean, is that then completely wrong? I guess what I'm thinking, like, sorry, this is for the brief.
Okay.
And thinking that, I mean, because I think, in my mind,
Mhm.
that it's like there's a slight possibility that in his actions, where, I mean, it's kind of like too late, so, you know, too bad, so sad, there's a whole bunch of dope in your luggage, you're going to jail regardless. But I think that maybe in a different case, that there could have been, if someone had left it, like, let's say they accidentally packed a knife, you know,
Okay.
in the airport, or maybe a gun, a small gun, they
Okay.
accidentally packed one. And now, like, he took it to them and they pulled it out and here's this gun. And then he comes back out of wherever and he's looking around, he doesn't see the guy. And he thinks, well, maybe he's on the same plane. I just gotta get on the plane and get my bag from him, this or that. I think there still is a reasonable expectation of privacy. That he's not saying, he's not just leaving it. He's not just, you know, like you said about the other cases,
Mhm.
that they were just sort of leaving it at the fate where he kind of throws it behind a tree and if he doesn't get caught, he can get back to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, you know, hey tree, look out for my stuff.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey guy, I know you don't know me, can you just watch my bag for a few minutes while I go take care of something?
Yeah.
And then the guy gets sort of antsy about it, he thinks, well, maybe it could be something that.
Yeah.
I don't need to be watching this guy. But I think that there's still like an expectation of privacy where he said, the guy should have said, I'm supposed to be watching this bag, but I don't feel comfortable watching it to the, the security.
Mm-hmm.
And they should have gone, okay, well, we'll look for him. Let's go look for the guy who left the bag before we.
But really, all your
Because-
rights of privacy go out the window when you have illegal, when you have illegal stuff in your bag, because
Well, they would have found the
I mean,
illegal
if it
stuff
would
in the bag. They should have searched it and done a better job.
if it would have just
searching
been
before they
closed, it
threw
wouldn't have been a problem to come pick it up from security, you know what I mean?
But he's already, the security checks have already established that there's nothing suspicious about his bag. Until they're like, well, this guy seems, this guy will look after it, so let's take it back behind closed doors and just open it up.
But let's say they didn't. Let's say they didn't open it until he was about to board the plane and realized he wasn't coming to get it, and like, okay, that's suspicious, so they brought him into custody.
Well, that
Now
would
they're
have
gonna
been
open the
different.
bag.
That would have been different,
He
sure.
still left it, he still didn't try to go get it before he got on the plane. So it's the same thing.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I could say that there would be a chance that his mindset was, the guy's got on the plane with my bag. And but I guess, we have to leave that up to, that's not really arguable in what we.
I mean, that's just a fact. That's a fact. A factor within that. And if that were the fact pattern, then you might could consider some things. But I think that if you leave a bag, I mean, think about if he had put it in the locker, or if he had made anything to secure it.
Or at least not leave it for 45 minutes.
Asking a stranger to watch it, is there still really would a reasonable person think there would still be an expectation of privacy? And at what point does that end? If he doesn't go and check on it at the counter or when it goes into security, I don't know, it's kind of iffy at best. It's a weird fact. I didn't make it up. I mean, that one was really kind of weird, but just keep in mind that you're writing it from the perspective of the government. You're trying to uphold,
Okay, the prosecution.
right, what's already happened. And the argument would be that, he did lose his
Yeah.
expectation of privacy.
Okay. And then in like the statement of the issue.
I have further questions about the auto case.
Okay,
When trying to figure out the answer to the complaint,
yes,
I'm stuck.
okay,
I'm in the mindset of insurance. They
Okay.
are clearly at fault. I don't know how they can justify answering and say that they're not at fault and why they're not settling.
okay, so in the answer to the plaintiff's complaint, is that what you're saying? You don't know how to respond to the complaint? Okay,
Because if you go through and you affirm everything, then you're saying you're at fault. So should it go further than that?
well, I think it depends on what the questions are. I mean, you can't agree to you have no idea about his injuries, or anything like that. So there's certain things you can't affirm, answer, or deny. You don't know. You can, agree that there was an accident that occurred. You can't admit or deny who was at fault. I mean, you can always deny it at first. I mean, it all kind of fleshes itself out later on. Did you guys have any luck finding responses online?
Yeah, I have more than 5.
You did?
The only complaint form I could find, is like that basic one from like a course, wasn't, not, like, that's not what you wanted, is it?
Well, did you do a Google search or find, and there's lots of complaints out there.
I didn't Google,
Lots
like,
of complaints.
I found this law firm,
Okay.
and they supplied a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
so I went with a lot of theirs. It was
Yeah.
like from like Michigan or something,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know how
Found
good
some
they
stuff on
were.
E4, but like, the only thing I could find that they, so, I mean, I wrote a complaint, this has been years.
Right.
And the only thing I could find that, I found, it would like, describe how you were supposed to do it.
Okay.
But as far as like a form or anything, like, only one I could find, and it was from E-form, it was for Alabama, like that block,
Okay.
statement of claim.
Okay.
But you wanted us to write more than that, right?
Yeah, and honestly, you can go on Google. There's tons of examples. So this is where you got to put on your thinking cap and think, okay, yes, this is a complaint in Michigan, but what can I pull from this form that's going to apply to a car wreck in Alabama? The basic form, their name, their date, place of accident. So that's where you got to start thinking in those terms for, okay, I'm out on the job, and what in the heck am I going to do now?
A lot of the questions for like the interrogatory, I like looked from like past automobile accidents.
Okay.
Like what kind of questions they asked, and that's
Okay.
where I got a lot of them from.
That's a great resource. That's a good way to think about it. Does that make sense? Just pull information from others' resources and trying to think, okay, what? And I did not look. Does Lexis provide any of that in their secondary
I
sources?
didn't look how much.
Okay. I suspect that they would, but before, I can't say 100%. Well, the issue, you gotta look at what was the issue on appeal.
The issue on appeal was whether or not he abandoned the bag.
Yes, that is the issue on appeal. So your issue statement would be, whether he abandoned the bag. You gotta look at what you're appealing. What was the original question that the trial court answered? And then when it came up, that's the issue they appealed, and you're responding to it. And you're trying to say the trial court, the issue is whether the trial court correctly decided the issue of abandonment because blah, blah, blah.
So when we redo our brief, do we just resubmit it on the same brief, or are you gonna open up a new one?
No, resubmit on the same,
Okay.
so I can have them right there together. When you go look under forms, a car accident is a tort. And they have a sample answer. And it also has like the canned responses, several of them. Like, for example, like let's say the complaint says such and so was injured on such and such date, blah, blah, blah. Well, one of the answers can be defendant, blah, 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 is without knowledge or information sufficient to form a belief as to the truth of the allegations contained in paragraph 1 of the plaintiff's complaint, and therefore denies same. And you can use that on a lot throughout. But this actual answer is trying to deal with a rented vehicle case, but it's the same concept. And I'm just looking under LexisNexis forms. And then I narrowed it down by forms for personal injury actions, defenses, and damages. And as I mentioned before, there's several Google examples out there. You can go under images. Interrogatories in car accident cases. There's an article talking about objections to interrogatories, pros and cons of interrogatories.